Okay guys, so here's the test bed of all the things I'm going to test. So we have a electric water kettle, electric toaster, the USB port, and then this is a Ninja air fryer. Hey guys, check it out. It's the newly released DJI Power 2000. They're coming out with bigger power stations all the time and smaller ones. These are some of the ones that I've reviewed before. This is the Power 1000. Great power station. I've used this a lot. Also reviewed it. Here is the Power 500 if you want more of that compact deal here. But today's all about the 2000. We're going to unbox it here, run it through a series of tests. I have my solar panels set up here. These are also solar panels, the Cygnus brand that you can get through DJI if you want to go ahead and complement your power station system with camping and just go ahead and hook up solar panels. So let's get into the Power 2000. This is just released. I'm going to unbox it here, go through a thorough inspection. We're going to hook it up to the solar panels over there. We're going to connect it to a power outlet, see how it sounds charging. And then we're also going to run it through the gambit, right? We're going to put it through a bunch of high draw devices, low draw devices, check out all the ports, see how they perform. And then in upcoming videos, I'm going to go ahead and compare it to some other power stations and see what the differences are. So stay tuned and subscribe if you're interested in these kinds of power stations. A lot more coming. Anyway, let's get started with the DJI Power 2000. Okay guys, so let's get going on this thing before I lose too much sunlight because I want to still solar charge it a bit, right? It's in the evening time. So this is going to be my first time checking this one out. Like I said, I have experience with their smaller ones. A lot of people are looking for bigger ones, right? For their RV or just more capacity. So let's see what we got here. All right, quick start guide, packaged very well. That's the first time I've seen them use that white styrofoam. They're usually using that kind of black foam, that different kind of foam. So remember, twice the capacity as the 1000. So this sucker is not light. A little peripheral box here, and that's everything in there. Okay, let's just take a look at what comes in this box, guys. So this just looks like the main power cord to plug it into. This is the US version, so this is a 110 outlet plug. That is a beefy plug though. That's going to be some wattage going through there and some amperage. So really just the plug. And you know, I asked DJI to send me some of their new Wi-Fi dongles. So keep an eye out for the new Wi-Fi dongles where you can just plug it into one of the ports and you get the wireless app connectivity that these were missing when they first came out for the DJI 1000 and the 500. So I'm not sure if they're going to change it, but remember, this is the foam that they normally would use for all their packing. So these are just little foam inserts to, I guess, keep the handles from smashing in when it really gets hit hard in shipments. So it's like the same length, it's just higher than the 1000. I'll go ahead and set them side by side real quick so you can see that. Okay guys, let's see if I can do this without completely rattling the table. So here is the 500. Remember, this one is just about the same width. This way and this way, it's just got one handle and it's very small and compact. And here is the 1000. So this one's definitely going to be the ideal weight for carrying. This one, of course, you're getting heavier, right? Because double the capacity. So let's just put them side by side and do a little comparison. And you can see same length exactly. It's just the height. And that's actually pretty good for doubling the capacity. It's literally only about 3 to 4 inches higher than the 1000. Wow, pretty awesome, guys. So I just looked in the instruction manual here and effectively 2048 watt hours. So the capacity and the output is double of what the 1000 is. So that is amazing to me. Let's just get into this big boy, take off this little guard here and check out all these ports, man. Let's go ahead and give it our initial boot up here. So we're just gonna press and hold right here. We should get, there we go. We have that infamous DJI boot up. Pretty awesome, 55% shipped. Check it out, built-in Wi-Fi. So this one doesn't have to have the dongle, but these ones do. When these ones came out, they didn't have any connectivity, but DJI now has a Power app, a home app that you can link to the 2000, and you can get this little tiny box, which I'm asking, like I said, I'm asking DJI to send me a few so we can revisit these two and put that Wi-Fi connectivity in there. But this one already comes with it. That's awesome. That was one of the major things that was lacking with these power stations, was no Wi-Fi wireless connectivity. So I'm glad they included that. But look at all these ports. So 4 USB-C ports, these two are 140 watt max, and this is 65 watt max for these two. 4 USB-A ports, 24 watts max. We have the 2 SDC ports. On the other power station, one of them was a light port and one of them was a regular one, but this has 2 regular ones, so no limitations in input output like the other one had for the light port. There is our charge port. Interesting, we have other ports right here. And then this is going to be our charge rate port. So if you want to charge it really fast at some expense to battery life, you put it on the orange here, and then you can switch it down if you want it to charge slower and have the best longevity and really take care of your battery. So you can switch that up and down however fast you want to charge it. In a rush, don't really care about possibly damaging the longevity of your battery a little bit. Go ahead and hit that and charge it up real quick if you just need to charge it to go camping or something. And then this is where we're going to plug into our household outlet for charging using this switch. Over on the left here, so something new. This is the 30 amp RV plug, right? So this is kind of like that plug you would use if you're tapping into your RV. This is a 30 amp, 125 volts, so no 240 volt capacity yet. But remember, DJI now sells their battery expansion as well, so you can do that if you want and extend the battery capacity and just stack them up. And we have 3 110 outlets here. And those are going to be like the 20 amp max capacity. So that's great. I'm glad they have an XD10 outlet here for your recreational vehicle use only. That's what they're calling it here. I am just so happy that they're including that Wi-Fi inside now. So guys, there really is nothing else to see on the outside. Just like the Power 1000 here, they have all the same kind of things, just basically cooling ports on the left and right side. The back has nothing except the DJI logo, and the other side is the same. It's just kind of, it has their sticker with all their information on it. So nothing else to really deal with aside from the front. So I want to hook these solar panels up really quick. I'm gonna have to move them back in the sun. Let's see what kind of charge we can get on here with those 2 100 watt solar panels. And then we'll just go ahead and plug it into the house and see how that sounds as well. Something to note, guys, I was just looking in the specifications here, and there's actually no weight. They don't talk about any weight for this thing. I remember the 1000 was about 22 pounds, I believe. So I'd imagine this is probably going to be around 10 more pounds. So carrying it over to the spot, let's just see how kind of heavy that is, if we can deal with this. So, I mean, yeah, it's not too bad. Let's get it right on this stump here, because that's where I'm going to charge it and push those panels back. It's not too bad. I mean, the handles are in the right spots, but compared to this one, let's just test it out right here. Yeah, so this one's way lighter. So I'm going to say 10 to 15 pounds heavier on the 2000 compared to the 1000, okay? Not unmanageable, but you don't want to be carrying that one for very long. Just short little distances probably to save your back. Okay guys, so when you order these Zygnus solar panels from DJI, at least the ones I have, it kind of came with this solar distribution block here. So I have them both tied into here. This one can provide 3 inputs, and then it just splits them all. And you just plug into one of the SDC inputs here on the power station. And they do have larger ones, so if you have more solar panels, they came out with ones that actually have more ports. They just came out with a whole bunch of more peripherals. So if you're looking to do anything with your power stations or charge from your car, they have all kinds of new peripherals that you might want to check out on their website. So anyway, we have the splitter there. Let's just plug into one of these ports. Not gonna matter. I'm gonna do the bottom one here just because it's closer to the ground. And let's see what we get. Don't forget, I am gonna connect that Wi-Fi. This is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, by the way. We're going to check that out in just a sec. So it registered. It's switched now to the charge time, which is now saying it's going to take 8 hours, 7 hours. It's going down now. And we're doing 145 watts. Shows you the voltage up on top, 52.96 volts, bringing the two together. And it's saying about 7 hours to get to 100% from that 147 watts. So what this does is it switches between charge time and output time, whether for whatever you're doing. So looking good. We'll just let it sit there for a while and go ahead and charge up. We'll see how much charge we can get until the sun kind of passes those panels. See how the house is kind of shaded there. We'll just see how much we can get until they're shaded. All right, guys. Well, while that sucker's charging out there in the sun, let's see if we can connect to it with the DJI Home app. You can go ahead and download this from your app store. If you can't get it from there for some reason, go to DJI.com and you should be able to download the package for your device. So we're going to start this up here and see how we can connect this. So remember when I started up the Power Station, it was blinking with that wireless icon was blinking, so we should be good to go. Permission requests, so just the basic connections, you're gonna have to allow it permissions to all of your wireless and Bluetooth if it needs it. So let's see what's going on here. So it found it immediately, the Power 2000, that's awesome. Nothing difficult here, and all we need to do is hit pair. So it's using Bluetooth and it looks like wireless as well. So then we can connect it to our home Wi-Fi, or say you have Wi-Fi in your trailer or camping or whatever, you can also connect it to that. So I'm just going to connect it to my home Wi-Fi and we're going to see how that goes. So all right, and we're going to click next once we have our password in, and it's connecting to my home Wi-Fi. Let's see how this goes. Okay, connected to Wi-Fi and connected to the internet. Awesome. So that was super simple, nothing hard about that. We're gonna leave it named as the DJI Power 2000. If you want to, you can change that. Hitting next, and let's see what we got here. All right, so now that I connected, it's kind of like it's already registering, and I get a additional 2-year warranty for free. That's awesome. It looks like it has an update, guys, so this is awesome. So fixed known issues, Power Station, current version, latest version, and improved some known issues. So let's just go ahead and update it. I like to do this so you guys know what it's all about, the whole scope of products here, just to see how easy it is to update them and stuff. So this might take a while. We'll let this do its thing and then get back to the progress here. Okay, so it looks like that initial start was kind of slow, but it looks like it is going quite a bit faster now as we're getting into the 50 percentile. Awesome. So it's like jumping at 5% each few seconds. So it looks like we're just about done here, getting up to 99%. And just looking at the front of the Power Station there, it said upgrade. Looks like it just restarted. So really simple. We have our infamous DJI tone. Still have the solar plugged in, so we'll see how good it is at kind of calibrating itself. I think it was right around 60 when I plugged the solar in, so see how much it is calibrated. So it looks like that's a percentage on the unit. I'm still showing 99 on my phone, but the actual unit, the Power 2000, is showing an 88, and it's actually going up. So it looks like that is the upgrade percentage completed. So I just want to be patient here, not turn anything off, just let it do its thing. Just jumped up to 100% and it says upgrade success on the unit. Let's see what happens next. Good to know these things. Rebooted. We have our normal screen back. Let's see if it registers the solar again, since the solar is plugged in and it is still charging. There we go. Our solar's ramping up those 2 panels, and I'm getting about 140 watts right now. All right, and back to the app screen, we have an update. And we're just going to click done here, and let's see what this app is all about, guys. So it looks like it did maintain its accuracy, and this is awesome. It's great to have an app to see what's going on with the Power Station, with any Power Station. We can cycle between, you can see that there's a graphic on the screen of the DJI Power 2000. It says connected on the wireless status right below that. Then we have our percentage charged. So it's 61%. Looks like it kept that accuracy pretty good. We've got about 1% of the solar charge while we've been talking about this. And showing our recharge time, 7 hours and right around 15 to 20 minutes at this 141 input. Down here we have the total power input. So that's going to be whether it be solar or charging off of your house. At least it's going to show you that. We have our AC draw here. Nothing's drawing right now, but that'll show us what's drawing remotely here. And then we have our, remember there was a SDC 1 and 2 on the front, and it's showing us that we do have a 142 watts of solar coming in there. So it is able to determine if it's solar or not. It gives us a little solar panel and sun icon. That's great. If we go into the output, clicking on that tab right there, and we have 0 output right now, obviously, because we're just charging. We can turn off and on the AC inverter rail for our AC there remotely. And I'm hearing a beep on the actual power station as we turn that off and on. And then it's going to show us individual USB slot power usage. That's great. And then of course our SDC ports 1 and 2 for our wattage output, which is nothing right now, but good to know all this information. So that's the basic stuff. Let's see what happens when we click on this little 3 icon options up here at the top right. We have our device info. Okay, so time zone, we can sync to our device, and let's go back here. So that was device info, and then we click on firmware update. Just did it. So it looks like firmware update is good to go. Let's click on the next one down here at energy management. So this is great. So if you want to really have the most longevity of your device, you can set the charge limit. So it looks like we can go all the way down to 70% as the max charge, and that will just help the longevity. Anytime you go over that, you're slowly, slightly speeding up the degeneration of your battery. So you can do that if you want to. And you can also make it discharge from all the way to 0, or you can limit it to go to 15% and anywhere in between. And that functions the same way. It'll just give you a little bit more longevity of your device if you don't really need that. Of course, you can adjust that if you need that extra power. You want to go camping and you just want it to be at 0%, and you just want it to charge to 100%, and you want it to go down to a 0% to use the entirety of this battery. You can do that. That's probably what I'd be doing for camping. Probably wouldn't affect the battery that much if you use it once in a while. Let's see this, custom backup reserve level. Wow, so you can, if you do want to do this, some companies call this like a solar priority. So you can determine how much you want it to charge from AC and solar car recharging, and then you can determine when that stops and it's only going to charge with solar. So you can go everywhere between 5 and 100% on there. I think stock it was 70%, so we'll just leave it there. And then check this one out, super recharging. So you can turn that on to get that 1800 watt. Cool. And then I'll switch it on the device. All right, let's go back and go into the general settings here. Screen timeout. So you can set it for, I usually like to have about 5 minutes, so you have enough time to work on it if you need to see the screen, but it's not bothering you. If you sleep, you can set it anywhere between 10 seconds and never. Initially, it was on at never. Device timeout. Now, this is important. If you have, say, like a fridge hooked up or something that only pulls from it once in a while, you might want to set this to never if you have a very low draw device or something that shuts off once in a while, because obviously you can go in between here anywhere you want. If you're going to be using this as like a UPS, I usually set this to never. Now, if nothing's being drawn and it's left on, it'll never turn off. It'll slowly die. But if you need those sensitive electronics or intermittent electronics to work like this, you might want to set it to one of these intervals. So for now, I'm just going to set it for 12 hours. So if there's nothing being drawn for 12 hours, it'll just shut down so it's not constantly drawing power. That's a complete device, and then we actually have a separate one for AC timeout. So if it detects like a fridge or something doesn't come on and draw any power for 30 minutes, all the way up to never, same thing. You can select how long you want it to be until it just completely shuts off without any draw. Cool. And then we're going back here, and that looks like just about everything we can do. Of course, we can delete the device. And there we go, guys. So it's a pretty, it's basic, but it's thorough. And that's pretty much all you need on the app. I mean, good enough. If we click on our little man icon here on the top left, we can add more devices. We can go to our account settings, go to store and help. We just press on whatever we have connected. I'm just clicking right on it. It's going right to that basic app. So cool. So a wealth of information here, and I think that's good enough. Remember, the 500 and the 1000 didn't have built-in wireless, but now the 2000 is, and they have the little dongles you can plug into the SDC ports for that option on the other ones if you want. So a great app, very functional, very detailed. It's just not too, cumbersome and crazy like some of the other apps, but it's good enough. It has plenty of the info you need, inputs and outputs, and a lot of settings you can adjust. So I am satisfied with the DJI app. So here's what I'm gonna do, guys. I'm gonna turn off my cellular service on my phone, and I have Bluetooth and everything else off. And I wanna see if there we go, network unavailable. Let's go ahead and turn on just the Bluetooth. And let's see if it can connect through the Bluetooth. Like if you're camping and you don't have any Wi-Fi, if you could still use this. Let's see. All right, it says connecting via Bluetooth. There we go. Okay, awesome. So network unavailable, but we are connected through Bluetooth directly. So that was one of the things I wanted to see if we could go camping with it, and if it would. Let's see if this works. Yes, it does. Hearing a beep on the machine. Awesome. So if you don't have Wi-Fi, you can still connect through Bluetooth directly, guys. One of the things that is great for camping and still using this app. Of course, you're going to be limited to probably 30 to 100 feet, just the range of Bluetooth, but at least you can do that. Like if you're in your tent, the power station's in your truck or whatever, near the solar panels, you can still monitor it with the app. But it looks like it's going to have this network unavailable up here all the time if there is no Wi-Fi, but at least I can use all the functions and monitor it real time for its solar charging and everything else. And I can operate all of the emergency management. Yep. And all of the settings like you would if you were on Wi-Fi. Awesome. All right, guys, let's see how we're doing on the Power 2000. You can see that solar panels are slightly shaded over there. So it'd probably be a good time to check it. Full disclosure, I did move it back a little bit just to chase the sun. It's only been about a half an hour though, and let's see what we're charged at. So quick press on the power button brings the screen back up, and remember we started at about 55%. Now we're only 59. So you can see that input really cuts down when you have any kind of shading on these types of solar panels. So it's really not even worth it to have it hooked up and charging if there's going to be any sort of shade on these kinds of panels. So good. I mean, we got 4% in about a half an hour. That's fine with me. Sun's low in the horizon. Let's hook this thing up to our home power and fiddle with this little switch here and see how fast it can charge and how noisy it gets for the fast and slow charging. Quick test. What if you can only carry it with one hand? Let's see how heavy it is. Let's see here. That's actually kind of manageable. Honestly, not too bad. I mean, depends on how strong you are, but just using the body to get it back on the table isn't too difficult. So not as heavy as some of the other power stations in this category. DJI is usually pretty good at that. They put a lot of compactness into their devices, so I am happy with the weight on this, even though it is a 2 kilowatt hour battery with that 2000 watt output. It feels very manageable in the package they've put it in so far. Let's get her plugged in and see how fast this thing can charge. Okay guys, so we are gonna start off with the lower, slower charger setting, and then we'll hit it up while it's charging. So I got this plugged into a household outlet. We'll just plug in, check out the screen, and all right, input. Wow, even on the low setting, it's 1200 watts of input power. And let's see what this screen says as far as how long it's going to take to charge. It says about 44 minutes at this rate, a little over 1200 watts of power. Awesome. I am now going to flip this switch up and let's see if that's any different. Switching up to the orange here, and let's go ahead and check out that power. Wow, so it just went up to 1400, a little over 200 more watts of charging power, and that cut our time down to about 36 minutes. So just around almost 10 minutes quicker between these two settings as far as what it's telling me now. Let's switch it back down to the slower charging. And yeah, so we're 1200 watts. So really guys, all that's doing is it's DJI's way of still charging it pretty fast. 1200 watts is no slouch, but if you just really did need that extra edge, it possibly a little bit of longevity issues, yeah, flip that up and you get over 200 watts more of charging. Save you a little bit of time. I would definitely just leave it at the slower setting because 1200 is very quick, and just, you know, appropriate the time to get it charged in that amount of time if you're going to take it camping or something. And by the way, guys, I'm hearing zero sound coming out of this thing. Right over here, these are the cooling ports. I'm going to go right up to it. There's nothing coming out. Let's go ahead and leave it at the high speed charging for a bit and see if that sound ramps up, because there is nothing coming out of this thing. No sound whatsoever. In other power stations, I will hear at least some kind of fan noise around 70, 60, 70 dB. I'm hearing nothing right now. It's about 65, 70 degrees out right now. Okay guys, wow, getting better at the quietness of these machines. It seems like it's even quieter than the Power 1000 over there. When I was fast charging that, I could hear maybe a 55 to 60 dB at the most, but I've had this on maximum charge. You see how it's at the 14? It went back up to the 14. I'm going to go over, bring the mic over to the intake and the output cooling ports and let you just listen to that. I know the fan is spinning and I can feel a little bit of cool air. This is the intake port on this side, and over on the other side is the output air cooling port. So we'll go on the intake side first, and I'm just going to put the mic right up to it. Can you hear anything at all? If I put my ear like right up to it, I can hear some air being sucked in, but no real fan noise. Let's try the output cooling port. I feel warm air coming out of here. Little louder on this side, I can hear that. Just airflow, basically. No fan noise whatsoever. Even at its highest charge rate, this is incredible. It's just super silent. I mean, I can hear crickets. I can hear the breeze kind of blowing in the background. And I have this little wind chime over here that's dinging. And I can hear all that stuff way louder than this power station. So definitely getting better at being silent. That's why I liked the Power 1000. That's why I use these more than any other power station, is because it's so silent. I mean, I have one connected to my computer as backup, and my computer fan is louder than this thing no matter what. So I just love these things. So if you're in a sleeping situation, if you're camping, it's in your tent or you're in an RV and it has to be next to you, you're not even going to hear this thing. Anyway, guys, I'm going to let her charge. I'm going to go ahead and switch down to slower charge, since we know that this thing outputs pretty much no sound whatsoever. And let's start plugging in some peripherals and just really test the output capacity. Let's see what happens if we overload it, you know, how high it can go over its rated spec for how long, and see what it can handle. So just letting this guy charge up before we test it, guys, with full loads. But you may be asking yourself throughout this review, what are these kind of screw divots on the ends of the power station? Well, they're for stuff like this. So this is the solar panel charge controller. Remember, I was using this to charge those solar panels. When you get these guys, of course, if you just have one solar panel, you could just plug right in here with the SDC to XT60 adapter. But if you have more solar panels like this and you want to just you don't want this hanging around, you can go ahead and screw it right to the power station. So it will just like live right there. Since the 2000 is higher, let's see if this actually reaches. You see how it's kind of a stretch for this cable? And that's why when you buy these things, they give you these little these metal extender adapters, and then 2 sets of screws. So 1 set of screws if you're just going directly into it like this, and that worked for the Power 1000. It was no problem because you screw it in like that, and then it can reach up here, no problem, and plug into either port. So you really don't have that issue of stretching that cable. But if you did want to extend it or put it somewhere else for any reason, when you buy these things, they do give you these brackets and extra sets of screws. So if you're wondering what these are for, that's at least one of the uses, is to attach their peripherals like this. And they even give you the Allen wrench, actually a really good quality Allen wrench in the package with your charge controller. So once you pop your screws in, you have everything you need to screw it in and attach it. Okay guys, DJI from my experience is really good at estimating their times to full charge. As you can see, we're 99%. It was just about exactly what they said it would be, and we're on the last percentage and it's saying it's going to take 1 more minute. So I just want to see how accurate that is at the end. As you can see, the input has gone way down because as batteries like this top off, they're basically just balance charging and they're trying to trickle in the last top off to really take care of the battery. So, oh, we got 0 minute here. That kind of means at least less than a minute, maybe within 30 seconds. So let's just see if this one is actually that accurate. Boom, and that's it. You see how accurate that was? So definitely they have a good algorithm in there to keep track of the charge coming in and to estimate that charge time. Really excited with that. Really satisfied with their software so far on that aspect. So anyway, guys, it's time to use this thing like you would if you were to go camping, and we're gonna throw a bunch of peripherals at it. So let's get into the load testing. Okay, guys, exciting. So here's the test bed of all the things I'm going to test. So we have a electric water kettle, we have a dual bay electric toaster, and then to test some of the USB ports, I have just the camera batteries that I'm shooting on right now. I have the Air 3S drone batteries here, DJI Flip drone batteries here. Those are just going to be plugged into the USB-C high outputs, and I think those camera batteries have the USB-A, so those will be plugged in over there. I have my cell phone, that'll be in a USB-C, and then this thing pulls about 1500 watts, I think. This is a Ninja air fryer. Love these things. Air fryer / crock pot, pressure cooker. I want to do a couple of tests here. First, I want to test it in its UPS mode. And what that means is how much it can output pass through with power coming through it. And then we're going to unplug that cable. And I think these things can usually do more if it's not in pass through mode. So we'll just see on both scenarios what, if anything, it cuts off at. I think this should be enough highly resistive heat loads to possibly trip this thing. So let's just give it a try. Okay, so for the first test, let's just plug in these high loads. So there's the air fryer. Do have to turn on the AC rail here with that button, and everything should come on this section. Let's do our toaster next here, and then we want our hot water kettle right in here. So we're filling up all of the 120 AC outlets, and let's just go ahead and turn all these things on. So water kettle first right here. Turns blue, letting us know it's on. Our toaster, let's go ahead and max this thing out all the way to 7, so it runs for 3 minutes. As you can see, we are going ahead and we're taking 1680 watts. I'm hearing some beeping, so that's a output warning beep, I guess. 1600 watts, getting close. Let's go ahead and see if we can trip this thing if we turn this on. So I'm gonna turn the air fryer on here, air crisp. Oh, and that tripped it. So did you hear that beeping? So that was too much for it in its UPS mode. It just tripped. The AC rail went off. Nothing is powered on here anymore. Okay, and all these peripherals just shut off. So good to know. Let's go ahead and turn this AC rail back on. All right, let's see. So this water kettle is giving us 990 watts. I'm gonna turn that off. And then let's just do the toaster, see how much that takes by itself. That's 880 something watts. So close to 1,000 watts each on those. And let's try this air fryer right over here. So let's go ahead and just turn it all the way up and start it. 400 degrees Fahrenheit air frying, and that sucker is taking 1200 watts. So it looks like you should be okay, probably up to 1500 watts on using it as a UPS mode where it's just pass through. We're now hitting 1300. I'm not hearing any warning beeps from the machine itself, so that is promising. Let's just click on the toaster and we'll probably start hearing that again. Okay. Clicking on the toaster. Now we're drawing close to 2000. Remember, we are in pass-through mode. There it goes. It just tripped. So I wouldn't really go over probably 1500 watts on this thing if you're going to use it as a UPS. So we determined that that's the maximum for that. Error overload on the screen, at least it tells us. So remember, you have to just reset that. There we go. So now the AC is back on. So now, guys, we'll unplug this And when we unplug it, it's just using directly from the power station. It's not using its pass-through UPS function, right? So let's just go ahead and start whacking it with these things again and see what happens. Okay, hot water kettle, 900 watts. Our toaster, let's go ahead and restart that actually. Up to 7, restart. We are now taking 1600 watts. Can it do it? Let's start this air fryer again and see what we get. So starting air fryer now, bam, up to close to 3000 watts. Is it gonna be able to run all this stuff? Wow, no beeping, no clipping yet. Everything is running as expected. Let's start plugging in some of our stuff on our DC rail. I don't see a switch to turn on the DC rail, so it should always be on. Let's check it. Yep, lights came on that charger. Let's go ahead and plug in our Airs 3S batteries. Go ahead and put these in the 140 watt and then put our flip batteries in the 65 watt. Nice, and that is a fast charge blink on those batteries. If you look down here, that fast blinking does mean that it's charging at its maximum speed. Awesome. 2,900 watts it's pulling. You can see that on the power station. Impressive. Let's go ahead and plug in the phone to the high output. Boom. So that's everything that I want to do plugged in. Yep, phone is now charging. So we're hitting almost 3,000 watts. I'm not hearing any beeping. My water is starting to slowly boil. See the bubbles there? And our air fryer is at maximum, and everything else is still going. So effectively pulling 2,900 watts, and it's holding strong. Let's see if anything happens. Let's let this water boil, this toaster kick off, and as much as we can, run everything and see if we have a problem here. I do hear that power station kicking on a little bit higher. Mainly, I can't hear it behind any of this stuff anyway, so it's not like a big deal because this stuff is all way louder than the power station. But I do hear that fan kind of kicking on. Okay, so far so good. Water is still on its way to boiling. So if it can do this for the length these peripherals need, this is going to be impressive, okay? Because this isn't even supposed to be going this high. So a consistent 2,900 watts with all this stuff running, charging all of my USB stuff as well. So if you're camping or you have this thing in an RV, look at all the stuff you can do together. I'm just going to be patient and kind of let it do its thing until this stuff finishes. You can see that percentage is going down pretty quick because we are drawing 2,900 watts. That's crazy, man. What's impressive is I don't hear any beeping or overload beeping on the power station. There goes, the toaster just finished. Now we're at 21 and change. This hot water is just about to finish boiling. It's gonna get to a rolling boil and then auto shut off. Air fryer is still consistently going fine. This is a rolling boil now. Check this out. It's just about to shut off. This has an auto shut off feature. So once it gets boiling heavy duty, it will just auto click. That is definitely enough water for Simon, coffee, tea. 1 liter of water in there, just finished boiling. And as soon as that clicked off, I heard the power station fan go down. And now all that's really running that is a high draw is this guy. And it's pulling probably about close to 1,200 watts. And then these things are just about fully charged, so they're not pulling much. So very impressive. I mean, you could do that several times, it looks like, and this thing had no warnings that it was overheating or had any issues. Just remember that if you're going to use it in UPS mode where they have that pass-through power backup and you have it plugged into your house or something, okay, this thing's clicking on and off. It reached its maximum temp, and that's what this thing does. Kind of like an oven. The coils click on, heat up, and then once it reaches that temp, it clicks off and clicks on again. So now we're only pulling 126 watts, and that's what all these things are pulling right here. Awesome, very impressive. There it goes, it clicked back on the air fryer, pulling another 1280 watts. So what I was saying, guys, is the pass-through function. Remember, don't go over 1500 watts. It's like you can go twice as high just about if you're not using it as that UPS pass-through function. That's something I think is important to test. Definitely your computer's not going to take that much. Computers usually take between 400 if you have a powerful computer. Mine takes around 400 to 500 watts, sometimes 7 if you're playing like a hardcore game or something, which would definitely be within that 1500 watt pass through if you just want to use it as a battery backup. Like I was saying, I do have that Power 1000 DJI as my computer backup and in its pass-through form. I've never had any problems with that. So far so good. That is impressive. Of course, keep in mind, the more you draw, the faster that power is going to go down. We're already at just about 80%, and that was in no time flat, right? That was just a few minutes of time testing all this stuff. So at least you know what it can and can't do. I think that's everything I want to do in this review. We kind of maxed it out. We weren't even able to max it out in its AC draw. So if you are happy with that close to 3000 watts it can constantly output without shutting down, that's the main thing I wanted to test. And we didn't even clip it in its regular power station mode. So that's awesome. So let's maybe run through a few of the pros and cons. Things I like are a huge amount of USB slots. Remember, 4 USB-As, 4 USB-Cs, that's plenty. You can always get like a splitter, those USB splitters if you wanted to chain more things, if you run out of them for your family or whatever when you're camping or whatever. One of the things that is a little lacking is the amount of AC outlets. So it's great they have this 30 amp. I don't have anything to run off of this 30 amp plug right now, so I can't test that. I'd imagine it will work fine if all these are working. These are the 20 amp, so limited amount of AC outlets. I guess that would be my only con. Of course, put on a power strip on one of them if you wanted to, as long as that power strip was protected and you could run more stuff off of it, as long as you're only running 20 amps out of that power strip. So you could do that if you wanted to have more outlets. Of course, that's an option. Would have been nice to maybe see like 2 more AC outlets down here, just because that was the limit I could do, was 3 items like that, but they were high draw items. But I'm loving how they're including the Wi-Fi and USB function now with their DJI Home app. The build quality on DJI is always top notch. They have a huge amount of connectors now for these SDC connectors. So whether it be car charging, specific drone, they make like their super high speed chargers for all the different kinds of drones now. You can get those, all kinds of different peripherals that you can put on there. So guys, final thoughts. As I expected, I'm impressed with it. I can't believe it's doing close to 3000 watts constantly without even tripping in its regular power station mode. But I think that's all I wanted to do. I hope you really enjoyed the review, the initial review for this thing. Keep tuned and subscribe, because I am gonna do a comparison between some of the other popular brands in the same category as this one. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna do comparisons on these power stations as well. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next one.